helper's coming out to try and fix it.
Oh my god.
Gotta hit. Oh, wait, there it is. See? Every time it's scared of you.
It's scary. Aww.
It's scared of you.
Oh my god.
Say hi to the people. Oh, Zach, how I love you. I love my boy. Okay, so good evening and welcome to Pound Posse Presents. It's always some kind of hijinks, I think. And hey, it is what it is. So I just had like some real excitement here for personal level. The show before me, the Old Hippies flashback show. If you've never watched it, they play stuff from back in the day, and it's like back in my day, and so it's really cool. They play like old Looney Tunes and just different music shows and performers like the Rolling Stones are always on. I really enjoy as I'm getting ready watching the show. So shout out to you guys. Hey, you do a great job. But one of the Looney Tunes cartoons that they just played, near and dear to my heart on so many levels. It's not just a very cool cartoon that I remember from when I was a kid. It's also the reason why I named my Daisy when I had her Daisy. So, you know, here was me seeing it was that cartoon and, you know, having to blither on about the whole thought process and what was going on in the cartoon. And, you know, I'm one of those people who the sound doesn't have to be on. I know what's happening and I hear it all in my head and I can tell you what they're going to say next or say it as they're saying it. So, you know, yeah, I just had a real moment and it was kind of cool. But if you've never watched the show and you tune into mine every week, put it on a half an hour earlier and watch these guys. If you're kind of in my age bracket, I think you'll appreciate it and, you know, just get to see some stuff maybe you haven't seen in a while. I am very much into like the old school stuff. So
What's the age bracket?
Zach wants to know what the age bracket is, and I'm going to say it's old enough to know better and too young to care.
I had to.
Yes, I know you had to. So I hope you enjoyed yourself.
A little bit.
Yeah, I know, a little bit. He
I enjoyed myself just as much as I enjoyed scaring the VR.
Yeah, well, you know, what can I say? You're a force to be reckoned with.
I know, right?
Yeah, he's full of himself all of a sudden. But, you know, hey, I love it. I love him. He's a good kid. He tries to be anyway. Yeah, I know. Anyway, you know, this is awesome because, you know, this is my show and I can talk about stuff like this and I can get off the track and it doesn't matter and, you know, it's all good. But hey, it's dog related. It's the reason why I named my dog Daisy. And maybe someday I will expand on that on one of my pages. So stay tuned because it probably not what I really need to do right here, right now. Zach, you might want to close the door because I have a feeling. Yeah? Okay. So, anyway, now that we know it'll be quiet in here, it'll be a beautiful thing. So anyway, speaking of age brackets, we have a birthday to celebrate. And that would be my little pal, Juno. Yeah, I saw that and I knew you were going to do it, Zach. You're such a little troublemaker. But yeah, Juno turns 11. And hers is one of those birthdays, for some reason, I have a mental block, just like I do with Zach, whether it's the 29th or the 30th. But it was on her page for yesterday. So Juno is now not only double digits, but she is 11. And basically, that's why she's retiring. You know, this is her retirement year. And anybody who knows me knows how much I adore this little thing. My little nugget, my little Juno girl. Let's see, it was January of, I think, 2014 that she first came on the show. And that show remains the most watched ever because it was Juno. And we are working on getting her back before the end of the year just to have her, retirement visit. Not that she won't come on the show as a retiree, but there's a lot of things that, a lot of appearances she's not going to make. And I just consider myself very fortunate because, she and I are friends. Her mom and I are friends. So I'll get to see Juno at different things that aren't, big events. So, my heart doesn't have to be broken. But she'll still be on her page. It's not like she's going away, but, certainly being someone who gets to hang out with her, I'll miss her a lot in person. So anyway, happy birthday to Juno. And, if you are not a fan, you really should check her out. Juno's Place on Facebook. She's the little dog doing big things. And her and her mom are amazing. She's a therapy dog. She makes therapy visits. They do all kinds of things to help animals. They're involved with Sweet Pea Friends of Rutland Animals. They do things to help people. They're just always on the go and always on the move and always doing something to make the world a better place. And that makes them very special and very near and dear to my heart. And so I'm blithering, and that's fine because I adore Juno. And so happy birthday, my little girl. I will wish her a happy birthday in person, hopefully very soon. Alrighty, I'll take the camera back for a few. Boy, I'm in rare form blithering away tonight. I don't know what's gotten into me. I think that cartoon fired me up, but, that's just who I am. I think I already talked about when I went to Rock and Shock in September, it's all this horror stuff. What did I come home with? A Looney Tunes DVD set. So you have to understand my never-ending love for Looney Tunes because I grew up on them. And, they're even better when you're older and you realize what some of the jokes and the cracks are really all about. Because back in that day, cartoons were for kids, but they were also for the adults because, the adults had to have a little bit of entertainment too. And the Looney Tunes stable of directors, just amazing. All right, so we're going to do a couple of seniors, wrapping up Adopt a Senior Month. And, again, November, this is the last day of the month, but you don't have to wait until November to adopt a senior. They are mellow, they are seasoned, they are sometimes set in their ways, but they're usually ways that, people would give their eye teeth to have. They're house trained, they're, not going to tear your stuff up. They're very low energy. They don't need a lot of exercise. They do need love. They do need attention. Just because they're old doesn't mean that they don't want to play a little bit. They're very big on naps and snuggling. Trust me, I have two ancient little guys at home, so I know what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard when they get to that point, and you can tell that they're in their decline and they get a little senile. But you know what? It makes them, I think, even more endearing. And you know that they're starting to get even more fragile, and you feel a different kind of protective love towards them. It's that whole life cycle thing, and cradle to grave. And if you can't do cradle to grave, then you do from today to the grave when you adopt a dog, and you don't bail on them, and you stick by their side. And sadly, a lot of these seniors are getting surrendered because people don't want to deal with that other end of the spectrum. And it's sad because that's when they need love and care and compassion and comfort the most. All right, so first I'm going to talk about Velma. And Velma is a sweet old girl who's doing great in her foster home, but would really love a home of her own. Velma is low energy, so she'd do best with another mellow dog or as an only. Hyper dogs tend to irritate her. I think there's two pictures here, Zach. Hyper dogs tend to irritate her, which is understandable, you know, when you get to be a certain age, you know, too much activity and getting jumped on, and, you know, it's just kind of not cool. But, you know, there she is, just, you know, crashed out on the bed with her tennis ball, happy as a clam, and, you know, it's probably what she does most of the time. Anyway, so she needs to be in a more calm environment. She's met both cats and a rabbit and did fine. Velma loves her tennis ball and a short game of fetch, but mostly she loves her naps. So if you would like to make Velma a part of your family forever until the end, please visit wolfgangrescue.org. That's WOOFGANG rescue, one whole word there, .org. And you can find the application and probably, you know, any contact info, and, you know, ask any questions you might have about Velma. And, you know, she looks like a real sweetheart. She kind of reminds me of my Duke. Do you see that kind of, Zach? Yeah, he's saying a little bit, like right there in the face a little bit. Yeah, like, you know, that gray muzzle, how he became at the end, and, you know, just real sweet. But, you know, gotta love the seniors. You really do. Anyway, next up we have Essence. Zach likes the name. Essence is a 9-year-old owner surrender. She was with her person since she was 3 weeks old. So you can imagine how sad and confused she is being at the shelter. And from what I read, unfortunately, her and her person were in an abusive home, and the person finally got the chance to leave and didn't or couldn't or whatever take Essence with her. And, you know, it was probably not the easiest decision, but that's not a good situation to be in for person or animal. Anyway, Essence lived with other dogs and is house trained and crate trained. She's active, playful, and affectionate, but takes a little time to warm up to strangers, particularly men. So that kind of maybe makes a little sense. If you are interested in finding out more, please contact the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, and that's in Wantagh, New York on Long Island, at 516-785-5220, 516-785-5220. And, you know, that really has to be so devastating. You know, this poor dog knew one person her entire life. I mean, from 3 weeks old, which is way too soon to be away from her mother. Who knows what the situation was there, but, you know, that's an entire lifetime of only knowing one person and the comfort of one person's scent and care and love. And now to be in a shelter, you know, people don't understand what they do to dogs. They feel it when they're dumped or surrendered, or, you know, their person leaves them. They really do. So my heart goes out to Essence, and I hope that someone adopts her sooner than later, so that she really doesn't have to hurt for too long, and she can begin to heal. And trust me, you know what? A newly adopted dog is still going to be looking for home. They're still going to be looking for their people, for a familiar scent, for a familiar sound, for a familiar face. They feel it. They don't understand that, you know, now this is their home. And, you know, it's especially difficult in a case where the animal was very bonded to its owner. All right, next up is Cap. This dog is gorgeous. This dog reminds me of my former sponsor dog, Max, at Tojas. Same kind of marking, same kind of blockhead. Just an absolutely stunning dog. Cap is 7 months old, and he will probably be on the smaller side once he's grown. He's a bundle of energy and needs work on the basics. You know, puppy training, everybody wants these puppies, but it doesn't last long all the time. And it's usually because a puppy proves to be too much for the expectations of the person who took in this puppy. I mean, puppies are great when they're little, like babies, and don't do anything. And then they get a little older and they're getting a little crazier, and they need discipline and they need structure and they need to be taught. I mean, who do you think is going to teach your dog how to behave? It's you. It's on you. So if you're not willing to put in the work, then a puppy's probably not a really good idea. So anyway, he'll need lots of exercise. And if there's to be another dog in the home, which would be probably perfectly fine for him, it would just need to be one that can match Cap's high activity level. It's difficult when you try to pair a very active puppy with an older dog who doesn't want to be bothered. It invites trouble. Older dogs don't want to be jumped on and nipped at and, all the craziness. If you're going to do two puppies, and I did it once. If you're going to do two puppies, it can be a lot to handle all of the craziness of, times two. But if you've got sort of semi-adult dogs and they're calming down just a little bit and you get to the point of being under control, and that's not for everybody, it can be a good thing. So anyway, if you're interested in Cap, he is at the City of Buffalo Animal Shelter, and that is Buffalo, New York. Not out of the realm if, you want to travel, or if you're in that area. I know a lot of people aren't just in Waterbury or Connecticut that watch the show. So, I really don't have any feelings either way about dogs in other areas. Anyway, City of Buffalo Animal Shelter, 716-851-5694. Once again, that's 716-851-5694. Next up is Boomer. I love Boomer. He's gorgeous. Boomer is 13 months old and said to be a big baby. He's very strong and active, so he'll need someone who can teach him some manners and how to be the best dog that he can be. Boomer shouldn't live with cats or small dogs, but would be okay with a larger dog who will put up with his puppy ways. And, same thing with Cap. They're youngsters, they're full of energy. You got to exercise them and calm them down a little bit. Especially these dogs with terrier in them. They're very strong-minded. They're very strong-willed. They need a lot of mental and physical stimulation. So, people don't realize what they're getting themselves into. And so these poor dogs end up in shelters, and they end up in shelters kind of a hot mess, some of them, for not having a structured upbringing and, for people not knowing how to raise a puppy that, needs a certain amount of stimulation, for lack of a better word. Anyway, Bloomfield, Connecticut, Animal Control. You can email bloomfieldshelter2014@gmail.com. That's bloomfieldshelter2014@gmail.com. Next up is Deena, and she's a pretty girl. Deena is about a year old, and while she has a lot of energy, she settles down nicely after a brief exercise session, whether it's fetch, a walk, or a run around the yard. And, a lot of these dogs have pent-up energy when they're in the shelter, when they're locked up in a kennel most of the time. And people are put off when they see, a dog kind of looking really hyper in the kennel. They think, oh no, that's not for me. But you got to give them a chance to run it off. They've got to have some zoomies. Then they settle down. So that's what Deena's deal is. She needs about 10 minutes maybe of, a good game of fetch, a little run around the yard, something. so she can get it out of her system and calm down. And that's what so many of them need. So she's not alone in that. Deena is not good with cats, but wouldn't mind a canine housemate. She'd also be fine as an only pet. And Deena is also at the Bloomfield, Connecticut Animal Control. And again, that's Bloomfield Shelter 2014 at gmail.com. Bloomfield Shelter 2014 at gmail.com. So that brings me to Juniper, who is my every week dog until she finds a home. She is my Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter social media sponsor dog. She's just amazing. I've not met her yet, but I have people on the ground. Trust me, I know she's a great dog. She's about 4 years old and spent a quarter of her life at the shelter. And it's probably been the best part of her life. She was very shy and nervous when she was first at the shelter, after having been found as a stray. So who knows what she went through, She still takes time to warm up to new people, but she's absolutely amazing once she feels comfortable. Her special crew of volunteers adore her and dote on her. They say she loves to snuggle, and, she'd rather snuggle than go for a walk. I mean, she's just a really chill and cool love bug. She deserves a chance. Juniper will only be the best dog she can be, regardless of how much they love her at the shelter. Once she's in a home environment, she's going to need someone who'll help build her confidence in new situations, give her a little time to get used to being in a real home, I'll say. And, Juniper is a little awkward around other dogs. Who knows what her experience was before, but she could definitely live with a patient canine sibling who, might just not mind that she kind of doesn't know boundaries and, how to act, and maybe have to put her in her place. Who knows? Dogs have to do their own thing, So you can check her out on Facebook, Juniper Needs a Forever Home, or you can call the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter at 516-785-5220. Once again, that's 516-785-5220. And that leads me, I will take the camera back for a minute, maybe. That leads me to, we've got Thanksgiving behind us, and we're coming up on Christmas, and, people think they want to buy puppies for Christmas, and people think, they're going to get, their kids the gerbil, bird, snake, whatever. It kind of goes for all creatures. They're just not presents, in particular, puppies aren't presents. And if you remember my dear friend Harley and, Teddy, who was Harley's Dream keeper, Harley's Dream has a campaign. And Zach, you can put that picture up. Puppies aren't presents, they're a lifetime commitment. And, of course they have billboards that they put up this time of year. Last year we had one right in Connecticut, and I drove by it and I was like, oh my God, they couldn't even have time to take a picture of it. But it's a real thing. Puppies are not presents, and too many people make that impulse move because they think it's going to be cute. They think their kids are going to love it. Think their spouse is going to love the idea, until they get the puppy home and they actually have to take care of it. And, it needs and it wants, and nobody wants to deal with it. And then, the puppy ends up in a shelter or worse. But the whole premise here with Teddy's and Harley's background and where they come from is, if you're going to present a pet at Christmas, do the research and never, ever buy from a pet store. Be careful about these online, quote unquote breeders. Be careful about the backyard breeders even, because it's all puppy mills. It's all mama dogs, and even the males, they're expected to produce offspring. And for every puppy that's bought in a pet store, you're perpetuating the suffering of the parent dogs. I could have put up pictures of, some of what puppy mills, the conditions are, but I chose not to necessarily do that for this show. But let me tell you, the conditions that the parents of pet store puppies and a lot of these quote unquote online breeders, the conditions that these animals live in are horrendous. They're in filthy wire cages. They never see the outside. Their cages aren't clean. They're never given a kind moment, a touch, a pet, a bath. They're matted. They've got broken bones. They've got rotting jaws from not having enough water, and having to lick out of a, like a rabbit thing. It's horrifying. So realistically, the best way to do it is to adopt, and, don't do it for the holidays, because it's just the wrong way to do it. Wait until after. Make sure everybody's on board. Make sure that you're going to be a forever family for the pet. And, I should probably do another show on puppy mills again sometime really soon. But for tonight, we're out of time. And I'm going to say peace, love, and dogs. Until next week, thank you very much and good night.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL